How's it going, guys? So today we're going to be doing a remake of Hannah Want's track Cure My Desire. Hannah Want is originally famous for her track Rhymes, which was produced by Chris Lorenzo. I don't know if she produces her own music now. I mean, I assume she probably does. She's been in the scene quite a while and probably had time to learn. I just googled it. She's now 36 and it's from Birmingham, in case you wanted to know that. Yeah, this Cure My Desire track released on Defected. It's a bit of a tune, to be fair, and it's sort of that selected style, like down-tempo, moody sort of house. Obviously, if you want to download this project and you don't want to watch this really boring tutorial, then you can just go to my Patreon in the link below. This is what we're going to be making.
I've been getting so close, I can taste it. You left a mark on my memory, when you were mine. I've been getting so close, I can taste it.
Let's get on with it. Okay, let's start from the top and work our way down. Firstly, you've got this kick. Pretty basic kick. I've got no effects on it. It's a pretty nice, soft kick is what we're going for. We don't want anything clicky. This is nice and rounded. And as you can hear in the top end, there's a little bit of a fuzz. So it's nice and soft. We've then got the clap. It's just a loop. So really basic. You can obviously have a copy of that yourself. So there's a slight bit of a swing on the kick at the end of each bar. We've then got these tops. Again, that's just a hat, a clap and a bit of a groove, so like a shaker. And on top of that we've got this ride. So you can hear the ride quite heavily in the original track. So yeah, together the drums sound like this. And a key takeaway from the drums is the kick at the start.
Let me loosen the tension.
So it helps let the user know that it's a house track. That's the first thing. But secondly, it also just helps keep the rhythm and keeps the track sort of flowing. So it's not just pianos. And like, it's almost too airy. So this helps keep moving the track forward. All I've done is taken the original kick, which as I said is quite soft, and I've taken out the top end and the low end, so it's just let's take out all the top end and the low end, so it's just this little hit that you can hear. It's nice, subtle, but it really adds, like without it, it just sounds empty. We've then got this tops, so that's the clap and the hat. And I've got an auto filter on here and some reverb. So it's coming from nothing. It helps to build towards a drop because there's no big snare drum or anything like that. Because this is the sort of selected style that's quite laid back and like vibey. So yeah, this definitely helps replace what would normally have like a 909 snare build coming in. Yeah, so all it is an auto filter. Starting off low, then building up, so letting in more high frequencies as it continues. And then I've also washed it out with a reverb to give it more space and air. Yeah, pretty cool. We then move on to this atmosphere. So this goes throughout the whole track. So the notes we're using are D sharp and F sharp. The track is in B minor. So this is sort of a 5th and a 7th up from that. So it helps build tension and also just give a nice space to the track. All I've done is clicked initiate preset, selected this waveform, turned up the unison to 7, detuned it a little bit and put this filter on it. Otherwise it's a bit harsh. So you could also have that moving. So if you put this macro on it, and then you could have it automated, so it's opening up and closing up. If we have a look, just so it adds a little bit of character and stuff like that. I'm not going to fuck around with it too much, but yeah, small details like that which help a track sound good and more professional. And I've got this LFO on the Asium, so on here you click Asium and then drag this onto it, and then that's just making the wavetable move. Cool. And then below the atmosphere we've got this piano, so it's a really soft piano. So we're in the key of B minor, so all it is a fifth, seventh, sorry, a third and a fifth, and then down to the G sharp. It's really basic, you can just copy those notes. And it's got this last tau, which is obviously elongated or legato. Normally, this is a good takeaway from this actually. A lot of my progressions have 4 chords in them, whereas it's not always necessary, and you can get away with just 3, and sometimes 3 sounds better than 4. So yeah, it's definitely a big takeaway. What I've learned from this myself would be to maybe minimize my chord progressions to just 3 chords rather than 4. Really simple, but sounds nice. In terms of the sound, gone for the grand piano. I've then turned the brightness up, turned the hardness all the way down, put some reverb on it, and kept everything else sort of the same. You could even go as far as changing some of the velocities and almost add in a bit of a swing to it, but you could sort of do it manually like this. Then it just helps to like humanize it a bit. So if you listen to that, I mean, if you've got all the time in the world, you can obviously do this. Yeah, just moving the keys a little bit, and you can also change the velocities. Just helps it feel a bit more human. As when someone's actually playing the piano, it's going to be they're not all just going to hit at the exact same time like some fucking robot. It's all going to be a little bit off. So yeah, you could do that to obviously humanize it. I'm not going to bother at this very moment, just for the sake of time in this video. We then got this pad. So I made this with the Korg M1. Just selected this preset. So click load, go to search. There's a few like vocal airy presets in the vocal/airy section. And I just went for the ooh ah, which is somewhere. There it is, ooh ah. I then changed the attack, so it had a slower attack here. And then I added this EQ and took out all the low end, and then drowned it completely in a reverb, just so it's more spacey and airy. You could then probably add this EQ after as well. Just making sure to cut out all the low frequencies that the EQ is creating. We've then got the second pad, which is in the drop. So we've got the second pad in the drop. So again, this has the exact same notes as the pad and piano. Difference is it's got sorry, it's not actually. This second pad and the first pad has an extra note in it, so the 7th up. So yeah, which is also just this D sharp, which carries on the whole way through. Yeah, this isn't really a tutorial about the notes and stuff like that. I mean, these are the notes that I use in the song, so it's just, it is what it is. To then make this pad, let's just get rid of this kickstart for a second because it's pissed me off. All it is basic shapes. So normally it looks like this, and then I've chosen this one. Again, detuned it just like the atmosphere, and the amp envelope sort of goes down a little bit. Again, it's really basic. With pad sounds and stuff, a lot of them are, the more basic they are, the better they seem to sound. It's when you add too many effects and all these movement, they sound a bit fucking, I don't know, sort of unrealistic and cheesy. But yeah, the reason for the pad in the drop is just because it helps keep the atmosphere alive. So obviously you've gone from really atmospheric here, wishy-washy, and without it, it's missing a bit. Especially without the atmosphere, it's just completely dead. It sounds so dry, so yeah, it really needs that, and it has to sound more professional, and like it's not lacking, basically. We've then got the vocal, which just ripped straight from the original, just chucks a little reverb on there. That's when I rip it, it sounds a little bit dry, so yeah, I've got that little kickstart on it, sidechain. Don't really need to know much about that. All the processing is obviously done by Hannah Wants and shit. So then got this bass. Great, so we move on to the bass. The bass is a little bit different to what we normally do. The reason for this is that it's sort of a chorded bass. As you can see, instead of there being one set of notes, there's two. So we're following the same progression as the chords, so from B down to G sharp, down to D sharp, but then we've stacked it, so we stacked it a fifth above, so it sounds almost like a pad, not a pad, like a stab, bit selected style this is. What we've then done is done that all the way through, so they're all a fifth up. If we then open up Serum, I fucked around for a long time choosing different waveforms. It doesn't matter too much, but in the end I settled for this BS2 sub you saw, because it's quite a wide sound, because it's got so many different alterations in the waveform. It sort of creates a bit of width, I guess. I don't know what the right word I'm looking for is. So let's hear that on its own. And then with the Juno, Juno's not really doing a whole lot, to be honest. Probably get rid of it and not even notice. We then got this sub. I mean, you could I find the sine wave is quite a clean, obviously, sound for a sub, so just set up for that. In terms of the envelope, we've got this amp envelope, so I spent quite a lot of time on this as well. So the amp is basically the volume. So envelope 1, although it's a little bit confusing on Serum, is the amplitude envelope, which means that's the volume of the sound. So it's going to go start loud, as you can see, then drop its way down and then get quieter. You could also have it like this, so it stays loud. We've then got envelope 2, which is being used to open the filter, so you just drag and drop that over there. So that's using we could obviously open it up more, but the original is quite muted, and when I say muted I mean there's not a lot of high ends in the bass, which I sort of fall victim to in my tracks, because I like the high end in the bass, but then I notice a lot of the more professional tracks sound more professional, partly due because they've cut out a lot of the high end from the bass, so it's just worth keeping the note of. So somewhere around there would be good. Great, so in terms of the processing of the bass, I could have probably added an EQ and things like that, but didn't really need it, so I didn't really bother. We then got this marimba. Not too pleased with this, just a marimba, so search marimba beyond collision under one of these. Taking out the low end, added this little OTT. Without it, it's not very quiet. So it's really quiet. Then added this reverb. As without it, it's a bit harsh. I wanted to sit in the background. So yeah, that's sort of.
You are the vision.
Then we've got this pluck. Again, in the original, it's really subtle, so you can't really hear it very much. So I kept the volume quite low. On its own, it's quite dramatic. It follows the same sort of notes as the chord. If you obviously want to have a look, these are the notes. Pretty basic art. Just use this Juno waveform, and then how you'd make any art. You'd obviously get envelope 1, drag it onto the filter, and then you turn down the amplitude envelope. And what makes a pluck nice is adding a bit of a white noise. So just go to noise, put it in notes mode, so it sort of follows the notes, in case that's not obvious. Add a bit of reverb on, bit of delay. Bob's your uncle. That's how you make a pluck. Kickstart, just sidechain it with the kick. And then a big one for this one, which really helped the drop, would be this huge white noise, which I've then sidechained quite heavily to the kick, and also this other noise building up. So yeah, that is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.